Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another Chris Farley movie review. This time it is Black Sheep. Now, Black Sheep, I would say is a bit underrated. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people made it out to be, especially when it came out. No one really talks about the film nowadays, but to me it's a fun movie. It's an entertaining movie. These guys still have great chemistry with each other. Chris Farley and David Spade. And it's directed by Penelope Spheeris, who had done Wayne's World, which Chris Farley had a cameo in. And I know her and David Spade did not get along with each other, which is weird because then they would work together on the film Senseless with Marlon Wayans. So I would ask, if I somehow knew David Spade, I would ask him how that came about. But the movie itself, Chris Farley plays Mike Donnelly, who his brother, played by Tim Matheson, is running for the governor of Washington State. And Chris Farley means well, he's doing the best that he can, but he keeps screwing up. At the beginning, he crashes this advertisement truck, getting it stuck under the marquee of this movie theater. He's at this rec center, he's helping the kids, again, trying to do the best that he can. But certain things happen. He also gets framed for doing stuff that he did not do. And he gets the help of David Spade's character, which leads to them going off into this cabin out in the mountains to sort of hide out for a while. That's definitely the funniest part of the film. Now, other than Tim Matheson, you also have Gary Busey, who's very fun in his role as this crazed war vet type of guy. He's very entertaining. There's a lot of fun stuff about this when they're out in the woods and they're trying to deal with this bat, trying to get out of the cabin, when they're sleeping and the roof gets blown off, and David Spade's making fun of Chris Farley. Oh, you got dibs on Top Bunk. How does that feel? And then the top bunk falls down and falls on David Spade. Uh, there's a point when they're playing checkers and David Spade keeps winning, and Chris Farley's like, "Yeah, he's the win. Will you never move your back rows? Come on!" And like this big boulder comes down and moves the entire cabin, and they both fly out. And then later, Dave Spade's like, "Oh, look at this fridge. It's only stopped by this one plug." And he unplugs, and the whole fridge falls on Chris Farley. And he's like, "I got bullet trucker pudding in my pants." And Dave Spade's like, "We didn't have any pudding in there, buddy." There's a lot of fun stuff. There's the Rock the Vote concert, and either when Chris Farley's pretending to be this security guy, and he's like, "Young man, go twist off your head and spark it into the floors of a diaper you can't even believe. I will dance with you inside the six-sided ring of fire, unless you move from this area far and fast, now!" Or when he's on stage and he's just saying whatever the hell comes in his head, like, "That's one small step for man, one giant I have a dream." And he finishes off with, "Kill Whitey!" Kill Whitey. I mean, again, there's moments like that. There's moments where they get this police card from a friend and the nitrous gets fucked up and they start getting high. And like, Rhodes, Roaz, that's a funny word. "Oh, I'm high, and so are you. Let me just go the speed limit. Limit. That's a funny word, too." And they get stopped by a real cop. And the cop's like, "You know how fast you were going?" And Chris Farley goes, "Well, I don't know. This car has a lot of juice to it, and 65, probably." And the cop's like, "7. You were going 7 miles an hour. And also, when I stop people, they usually pull over to the shoulder." And Chris Farley's like, "What?" And then he has his, and then it's a wide shot, and they're parked right in the middle of the road. Again, these guys worked very well together. They worked extremely well together. They still have that fun chemistry. David Spade even he has fun moments where he comes across these kids and he's like, hey, "Is there an Opie convention in town? Thanks for not shoving the nozzle up my ass first." Because they've sprayed him with this gun from a fire extinguisher, and then the kids chase him off. And then even when David Spade gets bad, Chris Farley's like, "Did you fall in some mud?" And then David Spade's like, "Yeah, I did. And I'm going to be rich too, because I'm the first person to find white mud." And Chris Farley's like, "I didn't say mud, I said crud. Did you fall in some crud?" And then they work so well together. And Chris Farley's still the sweetheart, does well with the physical pratfalls, like this long ass fall, and he catches on these roots. "Please, roots, stay strong," and it breaks, and he keeps falling. And then when he gets up, it's like, what the hell was that all about? And these guys are great. Gary Busey's a lot of fun when he first meets David Spade, and David Spade pisses him off, and Gary Busey says something like, you know, "And go to your mama's house and start a small fire in her panties." Anytime Gary Busey's on screen, it's hilarious. Because granted, Gary Busey's pretty crazy in real life due to sad circumstances. I mean, the motorcycle accident, fucking up his head. Uh, I'm not sure if this is before or after that. I'm not sure what year that happened. But yeah, Gary Busey's a lot of fun. Tim Matheson does a good job as the brother. He's not playing an asshole, which I liked. He wasn't playing this complete asshole. Now, the making of the film, from what I understand, this guy, Fred Wolf, he was hired by Paramount. Because Paramount, when Tommy Boy came out, it did okay, but I think Paramount knew that it should have done better. So like, shit, what should we do? We need to capitalize on this. So okay, here's what we'll do. We need to get a movie with these guys as fast as possible, but the date on their contract is running out. Once it passes, then they can do anything they want. Like, I think Chris Farley wanted to do The Cable Guy. That was a part he was really interested in, but he didn't get to do that because of this. And that would have been interesting to see Chris Farley in that kind of role. Would have been very different. But Paramount got this guy to write it very quick. Thus, they were able to make the movie. And it's like, sorry guys, you gotta uphold your contract. You don't make this. But these guys didn't seem like they really wanted to make the film. And I remember hearing like Chris Farley did not like the film because there was like a premiere and he either went into relapse with drugs or drinking or something like that. Like, he got really depressed. And then David Spade, he had fights with Penelope Spheeris, the director, saying, "You're cutting off my balls, my comedic balls." And then the director is like, "David Spade, you've never made me laugh." Which again makes me wonder why the hell those two worked together on Senseless years later. It seems like no one from this film liked the film. Which is sad, because it's not that bad of a movie. I mean, it got so much bad reviews. This is one of 3 films that Gene Siskel of Siskel and Ebert walked out on. It was like $1 Million Duck, this 70s goofy kids Disney movie with Dean Jones. Maniac with Joe Spinell, the slasher film from 1980. And this movie. And I'm like, really? Of all the films throughout all the decades that you were reviewing, Gene Siskel, this is one of 3 films you walked out on. Really. There's nothing here that is as bad as you would see in the Three Stooges short. Did Gene Siskel also really hate the Three Stooges? I mean, and I love the Three Stooges. I don't understand that. Like, this film's not that bad at all. It's a very, I keep saying, fun, entertaining movie, fast-paced. Again, underrated because no one really talks about the film. This has no features. It didn't even have a trailer to the film on this DVD. I mean, nothing. It's in widescreen. There's subtitles. That's it. It seems like Kevin Thomas of the LA Times is one of the few that understood it. He says, Raucous and rowdy, a crowd pleaser directed with maximum energy. I can see that. And you have some grunge bands like the Seattle band Mudhoney, among others, filling out the soundtrack. Well, I don't know if they were all grunge bands, but some of them were. And overall, this was. I'm not sure what else to say other than to be repeating myself. The lady who plays sort of the evil governor, which she's been winning for years, and she doesn't want Tim Matheson to win, so she gets people to sabotage and also frame the brother to make Tim Matheson look bad. I believe it was Christine Ebersole was her name. She did good. And then there's this guy, Bruce Mcgill, I believe, who's works with her. Bruce Mcgill I like. I've seen him in other films. He was Jean-Claude Van Damme's boss uh, in The Police on Time Cop. He's been in other films as well. He did fine with a small role. Again, there's a lot of nice physical gas, like when he's trying to vote and gets stuck in the voting booth and the whole thing tips over, then he's got to smash one and the other to get these people out. One of my favorite bits, I gotta mention this, is when he's on the phone. I forget what the lady's name he was trying to contact. I'll just make up a name. Let's say it was Miss Ebersole. It's not, but let me say. He'd be like, Miss Ebersole? Miss Ebersole? He just, without looking, just the quickness of it and the efficiency. It's like, and just falls right back down. The way that was done, it's hard for me to explain it, but seeing it makes me laugh my ass off every time. Just the timing of it, I thought was, and the commitment to it was very funny. I do think David Spade seems like he has less to do in this movie than in Tommy Boy. Like, it does seem as if Tommy Boy, he had a little bit more of that sharp wit. He still has it in this, but I felt it more in Tommy Boy. I hear maybe the director cut some of his stuff cut down because they weren't getting along. I don't know. But you didn't have as much of that back and forth of, does this suit make me look fat? No, no, your face does. Like that interaction was much more prominent in Tommy Boy than in this one. That's probably one of the only nitpicks I would say about it. But other than that, again, a fun, entertaining, underrated movie. Black Sheep. And this film did not do bad either when it came out. I think it made about the same amount of money as Tommy Boy did. But again, it seems like no one who was involved with the project likes it. Even on that I Am Chris Farley, it didn't say like no one really talked about this film. And if they did, they kind of shrugged it off, which sucks in my opinion. Again, this is a good comedy. I don't care what anyone says. Black Sheep is a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye bye.